Welcome, grade 9. We have finished factorization. We now want to look at the application of factorization. We use factorization to simplify fractions, in particular algebraic fractions. And the method that we use here is to first of all factorize every expression that can be factorized in the fraction, and then we can cancel out the common factors. Let us look at the first example. So x squared plus 4x is divided by 4. We need to start by factorizing that numerator there. That is x squared plus 4x. And we use the same method to factorize. Take note, x is common in those two terms. So x goes outside the bracket. And then inside the bracket, you get your x plus 4. And all this is divided by x. Now you can divide x by x, so the x and the x can cancel out, and you will remain with your answer of x plus 4. Right. Look at number 2. Do the same thing. Factorize 15x squared minus 10 because that can factorize. Factorize also 6x squared minus 4 because that can factorize as well. Right, let's start with the numerator. I'll draw that line first. 15x squared minus 10. You will notice 5 is common. So 5 goes outside. 5 is the highest common factor. Right. And then to get the other factor, we need to divide the original expression by 5. So we are going to divide by 5, and that will give us 3x squared minus 2. And we can't factorize that one any further at this stage, so we will leave it like that. Then we move on to the denominator, and we factorize again. The highest common factor is 2 in this case. So if 2 goes outside, you get the other factor, remember, by dividing by 2. So if you divide that expression by 2, you will get 3x squared minus 2. You can always check your answers. If you distribute those numbers back into the bracket, you will get your original expressions. Now in this case, you will notice that we have a common factor, and those common factors can cancel out like that. So they cancel out if you want, that is 1 there. And the final answer is therefore 5 divided by 2. You can write it as 2.5, that's fine, or even as 2.5. Otherwise, you can leave it as 5 over 2. Okay, let's look at number 3. We will factorize again. A squared minus 9, do you notice that is difference of 2 squares? So that is difference of 2 squares, so you open your 2 brackets, put a plus sign in one bracket and put a minus sign in the other bracket. Then take the square root of a squared, that gives you a, so a goes to the left. And then the square root of 9 is 3, so 3 goes to the right. And so those are the factors. And then the denominator also should be factorized. In this case, a is the common factor, so a goes outside the bracket. Then divide everything by a to get the other factor, and that will give us a plus 3. Right. Now I can see a plus 3 there and another a plus 3 there, which cancel out. And so the final answer becomes a minus 3 divided by a. Remember, we cannot cancel out the a's that you see there. We only cancel out factors. We only divide by factors. So we are not allowed to cross out the a's that are there in the answer. So your answer should remain like that. A minus 3, all divided by a. Here's another example. We need to factorize once again. You've done questions like this. So in the numerator, again, we are factorizing by taking out the highest common factor. Clearly, k minus 1 is common there. So k minus 1 is common, so we take it and write it out there on its own, inside its own bracket. Now, when k minus 1 is taken outside, remember, k minus 1 is now taken outside. So we remain in there now with 5k minus 3. Okay, so we remain with 5k minus 3. And then we factorize the denominator. The denominator is difference of two squares, k squared minus 1. 1 means 1 squared, so that is a difference of two squares. So draw your two brackets. In one bracket, put a plus sign. In the other bracket, put a minus sign. Then the square root of k squared is k, so k to the left. And the square root of 1 is 1, so 1 goes to the right. Can you see that k minus 1 will cancel out? And so now you remain with 5k minus 3 in the numerator and k plus 1 in the denominator. And that will be your answer for number 4. Here's number 5. The numerator for number 5 should remind you of factorization by grouping. The denominator should be difference of two squares. So let's factorize the numerator. Right, so we group the first two terms together like this. So we put those two together in brackets, but then we remember to add a plus sign. And then the other two terms go into their own bracket, both of them. Okay. And all this is divided by x squared minus y squared. Okay, let's factorize the numerator. In the first two terms, x is common. So x comes out here. And so in there will go x minus 2y. Right. Then for the second one, that's our plus sign there. Looks like y is common there. So y should come outside here. And in the bracket, we get x minus 2y. So it's x minus 2y. All right. Then the denominator is difference of two squares. So draw your two brackets, put a plus in one bracket and a minus in the other bracket, then take the square root of x squared and y squared. So you get x on the left and you get y on the right. Okay. Then finally, the numerator will completely factorize to x minus 2y. You see that x minus 2y is in both terms. So x minus 2y is outside now. This is now outside there. And so we remain in here with x plus y. X plus y. All divided by x plus y in brackets and x minus y in brackets. Now, x plus y is common, so those cancel out. And the final result is x minus 2y divided by x minus y. You leave your answer like that. Do not be tempted to cancel out the x and the y that you see there because those are no longer factors. All right, I hope you get that. Hope you get that. Let's look at the last example. Once again, we have a very big fraction there, and we are dividing that big fraction by another fraction. Remember, when dividing fractions, the division sign changes to a multiplication sign, and then the following fraction is written upside down. Some of you will remember KFC there. So we will change the sign and flip that fraction. Okay, so maybe the first thing to do is, before we even start factorizing, let's sort out that division sign. So that should be written as x squared minus 5x plus 6 all divided by x plus 5. That should change to a multiplication sign, and then the fraction should be written upside down. So it's now x squared minus 25 all divided by x minus 2. Okay, you'll get a mark for doing that. And then we can factorize. The numerator of the first fraction is a trinomial. Remember how you factorize your trinomials. Draw your brackets. And then x squared means x times x. Right, then we focus on the 6. We are looking for 2 factors of 6. But we need those 2 factors to give us a minus 5. But 6 there is positive. And that tells us that the 2 numbers we are looking for should carry the same sign. And so the sign should be the negative sign. Right, you will understand why our 2 numbers are negative 2 and negative 3. So these are the factors. Then we have x plus 5 down here. Now x squared minus 25 is difference of 2 squares. So that's it. That is difference of 2 squares. Put your plus sign in one bracket, put your minus in the other bracket, take the square root, you get x on the left and then 5 on the right. And all this is divided by x minus 2. All right, if you want, you can put these in brackets as well. Now, anything common that you see that can cancel out, I can see x plus 5. So x plus 5 and x plus 5 will cancel out. Nice. And x minus 2 and x minus 2 will cancel out. Right, and there is nothing left now except the x minus 3 and the x minus 5.